Hey, it's me, Nalthazar, and welcome to episode 2 of Deckbuilding Showcase. This one is going to be Ob Nixilis Reignited in Standard. So, this series has been the series that people have been requesting the most lately that I make a video on. And since Ob Nixilis entered the vault this week, I thought it would be good to make an episode on how do you build around Ob Nixilis. So, Ob Nixilis is a mono black planeswalker, and the first ability only costs 3 loyalty. It's lose a life, draw 2 cards, which is going to come in particularly handy with his third ability. His second ability, Torment, is only 9 and is lose 3 life and destroy target creature. That's actually going to be the cheapest destroy creature planeswalker ability for loyalty in the game. So, if we take a look here at Bolas 1, for example, Scorpion Sting is going to cost 12. We've got Forbidden Knowledge is the third ability, which is going to be create a support gem with whenever any player draws a card, deal 8 damage to your opponent. So that third ability, that Forbidden Knowledge, is incredibly powerful since both you and your opponent draw cards every turn, and there are just so many loop engine decks and ways of getting card advantage in this game. It makes it so that once Forbidden Knowledge comes down, the game ends pretty darn quickly. And this is true in both PvP and in PvE. So Ob, the downside to Ob is that Ob has the worst mana gains in the game. It's tied with the Origins Walkers. So at level 60, Ob Nixilis has +3 to black, and then +1 to red and blue. Green and white are both neutral. If Ob Nixilis gets remastered or edited, or they just even change the mana bonuses, then I think Ob Nixilis could easily become one of the best planeswalkers in the game. He's really, really good. Now, another really cool thing about Ob Nixilis, as we go into how do you build with Ob, is Ob Nixilis lets you run 8 creatures, 8 spells, or 8 supports. So you really can do whatever you want with Ob Nixilis. It's a very open deck. So I really like that about Ob Nixilis. Now, for our standard, we're going to go ahead, and we're already limited to the standard sets. But with Ob Nixilis, the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to build around what you have that can draw you cards. So as we type in draw, that's going to pull up everything that can draw us cards. Now, my favorite engine for Ob Nixilis right now is Vilis, Broker of Blood. So I really like this one for a number of reasons. So it's got a decent power toughness, but it has on the bottom, whenever you lose life, draw a card, it gains half its mana. So let's go ahead and add this to the deck. This is going to be the centerpiece of our deck. And I really like this one because if we take a look at Ob Nixilis' abilities again, you'll notice that the first ability makes us lose 1 life. The second ability makes us lose 3 life. So that first ability effectively becomes lose 1 life and draw 3 cards, the last of which is going to gain half mana. And Torment becomes lose 3 life, destroy target creature, draw a card, and give it half mana, as long as we have Vilis, Broker of Blood, down. So Vilis is a fantastic card to pair with Ob Nixilis. Now, you're going to see a little bit of a theme here as I look through some of these cards that are going to draw. But I like to add cards into Ob Nixilis that are going to draw cards, and then also things that will ping you for a little bit. So I actually really like Erebos Bleak-Hearted with Ob Nixilis. Just whenever a creature dies, draw 2 cards, lose 3 life. So it's going to make it pretty easy to pair. But there are other cards that I like more than that one. So one of them is Bloodletter Quill. As we've established, Ob Nixilis has terrible mana gains, so having Bloodletter Quill is going to help us not only get to Vilis more quickly, but once we have it, it's going to give us a way to play it while still prioritizing all of our removal. So Bloodletter Quill is a really cool card in Ob Nixilis. Castle Locthwain is pretty nice because it's going to convert to black, which is our one remotely decent gem color. And then on top of that, it has draw a card, it gains half its mana, then lose life equal to the number of cards in your hand. So this is going to effectively draw you 2 cards with Vilis and give both of them half mana, which is really nice, or even 3 cards potentially if you do it right. Saerom Powder is another card that I really like. Now, you don't have to go Masterpiece heavy like I am. There are a heck of a lot of commons and uncommons that you can run. It's just, I also happen to really like using Loyalty conversion instead of Black conversion for most of my Ob conversion, because Ob Nixilis' mana gains are really bad, and he really thrives if you've got a lot of Loyalty. So I like to go with a lot of Loyalty conversion when I'm playing with Ob Nixilis. I'm also going to go ahead and throw in Consecrate. This just gives us a way to destroy creatures and gain some life, which is really important because we're going to be pinging ourselves a bit. I'm actually going to go ahead and throw Foulmire Knight in here. It's 6 mana, so we can play it off of 1 black match, and it has Berserker and Death Touch, which is nice. And then the spell version is you lose a life and draw a card for 3. So any match is going to let us play Profane Insight. So this is really nice to have with Ob Nixilis, just because Ob Nixilis' mana gains are just so bad. Like they're really, really bad. So let's go ahead and stick with this for our card draw to start with. And then let's look at the next part. So I said I like to use converting Loyalty. So let's go ahead and convert Loyalty, right? So we're going to go ahead, plug that in. I'm going to go ahead and throw in Labyrinth of Scophos. So this is going to convert 2 to Loyalty, and it's going to mess with attackers. So we need to be able to slow things down if we're Ob Nixilis. And I'm going to go ahead and throw in Fabled Passage also. So this is only 9 mana. It's going to convert to Loyalty, and when this thing breaks and dies, we get to fetch another land. So it's either going to fetch Labyrinth of Scophos, or it's going to go ahead and fetch Castle Locthwain. Now with that, we're going to want a little bit more removal. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we can use for destroy. Let's see. Casualties of War is a really good card to use. I don't use it in Ob Nixilis unless I'm playing like an event where I know my opponent is running supports. So for the training grounds, I'm not going to do this, but yeah, in general, you definitely want to use this because otherwise Ob Nixilis has no way around those pesky supports. So I'm going to throw in Death Sprout. Death Sprout is kind of like the best removal card in the game to me because it destroys a creature and it gives you a land, which is awesome. And then it's tempting. Yeah, let's go ahead and throw in Assassin's Trophy, right? So this is going to destroy supports. It's really nice that this just says destroy an opponent's support, because that means that you can destroy things like Hixis, you can destroy things like other Planeswalkers' third abilities, stuff like that. Now, you're going to see here that I'm only using 2 creatures. I'm only using Vilis and the Foulmire Knight, and the Knight isn't even like really a creature, but that's because we're going to be looking to kill our opponent with our third ability. So let's go ahead, throw this deck in the training grounds, and show off how powerful Ob Nixilis still is in Standard, even though his mana gains are bad. So we're going to be up against Nahiri here. I'm just throwing it into just straight up first game, like no special takes, no nothing. And that's beautiful. So we've got Vilis in our starting hand. We love that. That's amazing. But I'm still going to go ahead and prioritize Death Sprout just because Ob Nixilis' mana gains are really bad. They're really slow. So it's important that we prioritize removal. It gives us some leeway. It gives us some protection so that we don't just get completely wrecked. Now, I do like to prioritize also Loyalty matches when I can, or just getting as much loyalty as possible with Ob Nixilis, but you're going to see here that that Saerom Powder is mighty tempting. Yeah, let's draw 3 cards and give each of them half their mana. Let's see what we get. So something like Saerom Powder just giving us that half mana is really nice. Once again, it's really good to actually have that half mana because Ob Nixilis struggles with gaining mana in the first place. So I'm going to go ahead and actually take this white match here just because, remember, we want loyalty. We want to get to our third ability. That's our win condition with Ob Nixilis. And getting Castle Vantress there is pretty nice too. So we're going to get Vilis down here, which is good. So let's go ahead and let's bring down the big baddie and see what Nahiri's got. There's a charged card in Nahiri's hand. I'm wondering if it's some kind of removal. Okay, it's support removal. That's fine. And Krenko has to go. That's that's all there is to it. Krenko is super nasty. So yeah, you don't get to stay at all. And fortunately, we have some Assassin's Trophies that are going to help us say no to Krenko. I actually do want to get that Saerom Powder down, though. So I want to start getting the loyalty matches as quickly as possible so that we can get that third ability down. And then once we have that third ability down, this is just, it's over. There's really nothing Nahiri's going to be able to do. So you'll see that as the Goblin is attacking, we are gaining free cards with half mana, so that's where that Bloodletter Quill came from. And then, let's see, I'm going to freeze down the Knight. I want to be able to use that with my third, and I think I'm pretty close. Yeah, I'm one loyalty match away. So, let's see, what else do we have here? We can take the blue match, and that's really actually about it. So that's kind of a stinker. And we've already established that Nahiri does have lands in the deck, so I'm switching that for a land that Nahiri already has down, so I'm not super worried about that. And I know that the goblins are just fetching more goblins, and these are going to draw me more cards, and yada yada, but it's okay. It's okay. So we're going to Fabled Passage and Labyrinth of Scophos for sure here. And let's see. All right, Vilis is going to go ahead and kill that goblin for me too, which is really nice. So I probably, yeah, let's just play it out like this. So you're going to get to see Vilis's ability activate here where I lose life and I give a creature -6/-6. So it's going to draw me a card. It's going to kill the goblin. That card is going to gain half its mana. I'm going to get Fabled Passage down. And now you're going to see that we've got our third ability with Ob Nixilis. So we definitely would have liked to have drawn that Saerom Powder like one turn later. Fortunately, this black gem on the right that just spawned is going to let us kill Krenko. So I'm going to go ahead and play Forbidden Knowledge. And I'm going to get rid of Consume. I'm going to get rid of Saerom Powder. I've got the Labyrinth ready to go. And oh, that's too bad. If I was able to match the black gem on the left into that white landfall, that would have been pretty cool, but I do want to get rid of Krenko. Krenko is just, it's too much of a threat to allow it to stay on the battlefield, unfortunately. So I'm going to draw a card here, and that's going to do 8 damage to Nahiri. It's going to kill Krenko, and then I get to hit Nahiri for 8. And now if, oh, that's unfortunate. Oh, thank goodness Nahiri didn't take that huge match on the left. Jeez. That just stunk. So Nahiri's taking another 8, and then, yeah, this game is all but over. So we're going to toss that Labyrinth. We're going to use Profane Insight to draw 2 because of Vilis, which is going to do 16 to Nahiri. And then, you know what, let's go ahead and drop these unnecessary cards here. I definitely don't need that Foulmire Knight anymore, and we're going to use our first ability to do another 24 damage to Nahiri. So 1, 2, and 3 times 8 for 24, and that's a wrap because Nahiri's not going to be able to survive the 8 from Vilis. So that's going to be game over. I know I could have just gone for the 5 match, but this was already game over. So that is Ob Nixilis in Standard. Now, you might be wondering, well, does it work every time? Is it that good? Like, no matter what you do? And in large part, yeah. Especially having the first ability only cost 3. If you want, you can just draw around until you get Vilis, which is pretty nice. But Ob Nixilis functions really well in Standard, even now. There are other things that you can throw in. So if we go to our deck, again, another card I really like with Ob Nixilis is Murderous Writer. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, Murderous Writer. So I like Murderous Writer because the Swift End side is going to destroy a Vanguard or a creature. It's a first opposing creature, so it's going to get around nonsense like Hexproof. And then it gives you that life loss. If you don't have Villas, it doesn't matter. This card is still fantastic because it's also a 4/5 lifelink creature, and I really like that this creature has that lifelink. I think that they recently added Berserker to it in the last patch, and I'm not super fond of that. But, I mean, with Swift End and then going into the Murderous Writer, you should honestly be fine. So, if you have Ob Nixilis, and you haven't played him in a while, go ahead, dust him off, give him a shot. If you have the cards for this deck, give it a shot. If you don't have the Bloodletter Quill or the Saerom Powder, you can swap them in for something else. If you don't have Villas, that's fine. You can create the deck basically without Villas. You just would use fewer things that are going to hurt you, right? I'm just using things that burn me because of this sweet, sweet card right here. So I hope this gave you a little bit of an insight on how I like to go about building decks and on why I like Ob Nixilis so much, especially in Standard. And I'll see you guys in the next one.